Hello, and welcome to another episode of The Harvest Season. My name is Cody.
And my name is Jonnie.
And we're here today to talk about cottagecore games. Woo! As always, transcripts are available in the show notes and on the website. And today we are going to talk about Rusty's retirement. Woo! Which I am addicted to. Already, I will figure out how to mentally and emotionally detach from it at some point, I'm sure. So that's what we're going to talk about, is that journey. Before that, we have news. But before that, Jonnie, what have you been up to?
What have I been up to? I feel like the last sort of few months have been bouncing between games and trying to find a thing, and nothing's really been sticking. And last night I decided I was going to try Cyberpunk. Just kind of feeling like that open world sort of call, and I know that game had a lot of issues when it first came out, but there's been plenty of time, and I really enjoyed The Witcher 3, which is same dev team, so I was like, let's try Cyberpunk. And like, I'm very, very early into Cyberpunk, but I'm really enjoying it. Like, it feels like this is the thing I was probably looking for. Just, you know, open world, turn your mind off, fun story, but easy to get distracted sort of game. So yeah, I'm looking forward to getting more and more into Cyberpunk.
Okay. Do you feel like it's been fixed, the issues that were present in the beginning? Do you know the story, the history of the game?
Not really. Like, I don't really recall. Like, I remember seeing it and I was aware of it at the time, but none of it really, like, stuck in my brain because I just don't think I cared that much. I feel like I'm so early that I don't know that I would have a good opinion on a lot of the stuff anyway. Like, I'm literally, like, just out of the tutorial, so I haven't really got to experience the open world side of things yet. Like, I've just been going from story mission to story mission, and it's been a lot of like sort of scripted events going on, so I assume that stuff is pretty well like designed and locked down. But yeah, other than that, I think it's like, to me it feels good, but we'll see how that holds up. What was the main thrust of the controversy?
I think it was just that it was so poorly when it came out, it was not good. Like, it was a very laggy. It was just poor quality. It kept like crashing on people, like that kind of thing. And I know that some people had like waited a year or so to like try it again, and then even when they tried it again, it was not great.
Yeah, I would say, like, so far it hasn't had any lag issues, but also it's been a lot of like heavily instanced combat with like a very low number of entities involved. So like, I don't know that I've really there hasn't been a lot of opportunities for the game to really chug. So I will reserve judgment on that. I'm also not the sort of person that I think really gets as affected by that as some people do. So
cool. Yeah, I've never played it. It's not, I don't know. I'm glad you're enjoying it.
Yeah, should be good. What have you been up to?
I have been playing Disney Dreamlight Valley's newest DLC, not DLC, a free update, which we'll talk about later. I've been playing Minecraft, continuing the fox journey. I've actually been doing a lot of farming in Minecraft because I need bone meal to dye my terracotta white so that I can finish the fox's tail. So I've actually been doing a lot of farming in Minecraft. Let's see, those two games, my coloring game on my phone as per usual, and then just a lot of research, stuff, PhD stuff. Also started working at the coffee shop again, so extra money, whoop whoop.
Yeah, money.
Pretty stoked. I have 3 tattoos. I'm getting 3 tattoos within a 9-day span here within the next like 12 days. I just have so many appointments, and it's all like one of them I've had booked since like December, and I've been saving money for it and stuff like that. But the other one, there's apprentices, and they need to like learn how to do stuff or whatever. And so they just have really cheap. All the tattoos are fairly inexpensive, good quality, but it's like their first time tattooing.
Are they?
So
Are they good quality? How do you know that's their first time tattooing? That would give me such a level of anxiety.
So when you're a tattoo apprentice, you tattoo on fake skin first. And so I've seen like their fake skin tattoo like stuff, which fake skin is pretty accurate, but it doesn't do the same like bleeding stuff that skin does. And then I've seen their art, so I know what they're capable of, like drawing and shading and like doing all of that. And then the next stage after they do fake skin is heels. So like the heel of your foot, the bottom heel part of the heel of your foot, they tattoo that. And I've gotten 7 heels done so far because after like 2 weeks, it just sloughs off, like the skin just flakes off and it takes the ink with it. So, you know, every time my heel becomes bare, I just go back in and it's $1 because they have to legally have exchanged money for insurance purposes. And I just let the apprentice do whatever it is they need to be practicing. So for a while it was color, and then it was line art, and then it was black and gray. And then now one of the apprentices, a customer wants them, or a client wants them to do this like dagger with smoke or whatever. So they designed this smoke thing, and then they tried it on my foot to like see if they could do it. And they were like, oh, this part's good, but this other part I need to do something different. And so they're going to work on doing that. So yeah, I've just been like going in. It's the artist I always go to, and then her 2 apprentices. Both apprentices are amazing. One of them does color, realism, and illustrative. And she has a really pretty fox that she's like drawn and put on her Instagram. So I literally told her, I was like, I can budget $200. You can have this much of my arm, and I just want it to be a fox. And other than that, it's completely up to you. Like, I don't care what it looks like what the design is, what the posture is or whatever. I want it to be realism or illustrative. And it can either be color, it could be black and gray, it could be whatever you want. So that's in a week, less than a week. That's in 6 days. I just show up and I'm like, cool, put it on my arm. And I told the other apprentice they have the same deal in next month because I can only do one a month for money reasons. Same deal, $200, black and gray, illustrative bug, because they really like bugs. And that's going to go on my leg. So really excited about all that. So next time I'm on the pod, I'm going to have a lot more art on my body.
That's pretty cool.
I am pretty excited. And I'm thinking of more, but I need to save money. So this is like my final push of like get art while I can afford it / like before I just like shut down my extracurricular spending. Because these are good humans and I've been helping them out for a while, and I just want to get some art before I'm done. So that's what we've been up to. Woo.
Woo.
First up on the news is Harvest Moon 1 World Complete. So this is the complete edition for Harvest Moon 1 World. It's the base game plus all of the DLC is now available, ? Becoming available. Oh, it's a pre-order. So if you pre-order it, you can pre-order it right now, and it's for $30 available on Switch. Gives you the full game and all previously released DLC in one package. And you also get this, what they call adorable Yeti plush.
Yeah, that's not an accurate description of this plush.
I disagree. I don't know. I wouldn't get this.
The plush, so there's been this trend with cottagecore games and doing plushes because they do, cottagecore games generally do cute creatures. I think recently there has been a trend towards these plushes looking low quality, and this is a huge offender in this. This has elements that are in the direction of cute, but ultimately the plush looks cheap, and that it kind of just detracts from it being a little cutie. And it's unfortunate, but I think this is an example of whatever you are going to do around your game, in your game, you got to do it well. And this is not done well.
Yeah, this does not spark joy. Yeah, so that is up for pre-order on Switch. So, but Al also wrote online store not actually working. Don't know what that means, but hopefully it's working when you are hearing this and when you can download or you can pre-order this game. Our next bit of news, Ever After Falls, is releasing on June 20th. So I had to look this up because I was like, I don't know if I've ever looked up this game before. Quote, Ever After Falls is a mix of Stardew Valley, Harvest Moon, Animal Crossing with some action RPG elements found in the dungeons. And when you watch the trailer, within the first 2 seconds, you get hit by a car. And that was shocking. So yeah, there's new cooking content that you can read about, read some other stuff online. Seems like they've had some stuff that they've been working on. It looks really cute. This might be something I get on Switch. Have you looked at this at all? So it's available on all platforms. So it'll be PC, Mac, Linux, Switch, Xbox, and PlayStation. What are your thoughts about this, Jonnie?
Yeah, I mean, I had a glance at it when I saw it was in the news. Unfortunately for me, again, this looks cheap, it looks low quality, and I get it's indie developer, but and it's just even little things like the description, right, where they, compare themselves to as a mix between 3 really high quality games. And it's not, right? It's just not going to be a mix between those 3. And I ultimately think games like this do themselves a disservice by pretending that there's something that they're not, because they've said the buzzwords of the popular things in the genre. So I don't know that this is necessarily something that I am interested in. I hope it's good, and I hope it's people that, people are excited about it, but I don't really see anything here to be excited or interested in.
I mean, I think it looks cute. I might give it a shot. We'll see. In June. We'll see how I feel in June after I've spent $400 plus on tattoos. My bank account might be screaming. The next bit of news is Starstruck Vagabond is releasing on May 24th, 2024. Yep.
I am very excited for this one.
Oh, okay.
So Star Trek Vagabond, yeah, for those who don't remember, this is the game that's produced by, or developed by, I don't know what the right word is. It's the Yahtzee Crucial game.
I forgot.
Yeah, most people forget, because the name is not the greatest, right? And there's a few other games that have a similar sounding name that have come out now. But this is the one that they are producing. Yahtzee does, what was the name of the series? It was... He does a version of Angry Man does angry game reviews, but he has generally, I think, quite good taste in games. And I know there was a whole thing about
zero punctuation.
Zero punctuation. There we go.
And it was basically because he would talk so fast, there was no punctuation. But then it was also illustrated. It was really
good. But he, I think, has, generally, I would say, a taste in games that lines up with my taste, which is a part of the reason I like his reviews. And Star Trek Vagabond is, I guess, space delivery is kind of the theme of the game. I guess to put the vibes of the game, the closest thing I can imagine, or the closest thing that I kind of get vibes from whenever I look at this game is, oh my god, the name of it just walked out of my head, that 2D pixel-ish RPG that everyone frothed over 7 or 8 years ago, that has the skeletons.
Valley.
Pardon?
Stardew Valley.
No, it has the skeletons, the RPG. Oh my god, so many people are going to be yelling at.
Skeleton RPG game. Dead Heroes.
No. God, you're like the daughter of a cow and
Skeleton Crew.
No.
Daughter of a cow.
What were the name of the cows? I think the one was what's on Papyrus? Undertale. There we go. It's like, I didn't realize how ridiculous that game is to explain until I totally lost the thread of what the name of the game was. And in no way is Star Trek Vagabond, like, similar to Undertale. It's just the vibe is, like, I don't know, to me it feels similar-ish. I guess in that it's, like, a weird, similar-ish art style. I don't know. Maybe it's more my expectations for this game is that it's going to be weird. To be honest, I don't even know if it's going to fit in the definition of cottagecore, but I will definitely be trying it. I don't. Did we say the news? The news is that it's coming out on May 24th. It's very exciting. Yes.
I think I said the news, and then I said I was underwhelmed, and then you reminded me that it's Yahtzee.
And then I went on a wild fever dream for like 5 minutes.
Yeah. Which is good. It's good. Yeah, so I'm excited to hear or see more about this, for sure. Disney Dreamlight Valley, so the update and the free update, Thrills and Frills, and the second act of the DLC are out now. There's also really detailed patch notes online. Have you jumped back into this at all, Jonnie?
No, I'm kind of like, so I hit credits on DDV. And I kind of feel like I did everything that I wanted to in that game. Like, I know that they will continue to add characters, and they do a really good job with the storytelling, as we've talked about, and the interactions between those characters. But ultimately, I think I feel that the player's place in the game is kind of lost and lacking, and a lot of this for me comes back to the customization of the valley itself. It's just so limited and so bad, like having to put all of these houses down. They're big, they're kind of ugly, they take up a ton of space. I think I just hit that point where it's like, I kind of just hit, the point where it's like, it's the grind of the game, and that wasn't really pulling me in. And kind of because I hit credits and like the main story around your character is really good, right? I really like that story, but I finished that story. Yeah, I don't have a strong need to come back and like I'm not a Disney freak, right? Like it's I like Disney, but I don't just want Disney for the sake of Disney, and I think that's where the game is at now. Is like if you're a Disney freak and you're into all of that, like. Cool, like this is a game that's producing content for you. But if you're a fan of like a good game, not sure that the longevity is there with DDV.
That's fair. Yeah, I still play it every day because I really want to complete the characters that I have up to
because you're a Disney
level.
Freak.
I mean, I'm not really. Like, I don't even really like read the quest text usually.
Oh my god.
I usually will like glimpse it and be like, okay, yeah, cool. He's mad at this other character for reasons, and he wants to make up with that person, and he needs these things to build a thing to blah blah. Like, I'm just like, cool, I get it. I like the mechanics in the game, and it's really gratifying, and I'm like pretty. It also gives percents on a lot of the achievement things that you can do. And so, like, I see that I'm, almost done with some of the achievements. And so that's the biggest thing is it's, like, it tickles my brain. I can jump on for, like, 10 minutes and go harvest a couple plants and make progress towards my achievement of harvesting 900 coconuts or whatever the heck I'm working on right now.
And I think that's where I got to as well. I'd probably just finished the game like when a lot of that content was new, so I did a lot of that stuff. I did as much of it as was in the game at the time. And now that they're adding more of those grinds to do, I just don't necessarily feel the pull to be like, oh yeah, I absolutely need to go and do more of that. But I totally get the desire to, like, when you're in the throes of it, to be like, yeah, I do need to go in and do a lot of that stuff, right? Because that's how our brains are wired now.
Yep. Yeah, so they're new. I'm also going to be honest, so one of the new things in the Thrills and Frills is they add Daisy Duck and they add her boutique. And then in part of the boutique challenge, you're supposed to, like, not upload, but display one of your things that you want displayed, I guess. And it is not clear where you find all of that stuff. So I was trying to figure out how to do that in in her boutique. But then I realized, like, I just finally Googled it because I was like, heck this. I don't want to, like, keep trying to figure this out and getting lost. So I Googled it, and apparently, like, in the wardrobe screen, like, the first button that I've always just, like, skipped over in my brain is a customize button. You can literally customize and create your own designs of everything with the motifs that you've been getting. And, like, I remember getting all those motifs. Like, every time you level up a character, they sometimes every now and then it gives you a, like, little motif. And I'm like, I have no idea what to use this for. It's not clear to me. And it's because you can customize and create your own furniture and your own wardrobe.
What?
Yeah. And this is not a new thing. This has been in the game.
I have never come across this feature at all.
Exactly. It's not very, for people, I don't know. I never looked at it. And so you basically create that, like, you customize one of your own things. It gives you, like, a base shirt to use or whatever. And then you can choose a color, choose a motif to throw on it. And then you put that on a mannequin in the boutique. And then voila, you've completed part of that quest. Another thing that she has, this is my PSA to listeners, because I could not figure this out for like a half an hour today. And I was getting really grumpy. She has these boutique daily challenges where you basically go up to her and you're like, what's the daily challenge? And she's like, I want shoes and seating that are black with a calm vibe and a casual vibe and this other thing. Like, it basically gives you criterion to do. And so then I was like, okay, cool. So I'm going to use the touch of magic. I'm going to create a piece of seating that matches the black, whatever, like the black part of the challenge or whatever, and then put it on a pedestal, right? Wrong. You're supposed to put it on the wooden platform that's to the left of the door. So when you enter the boutique, there's this wooden platform on the left. That is where you're supposed to display the things that you're using for your boutique daily challenge. So I kept putting this black chair that I made, and then I kept changing the motif and changing the color and removing glossiness and, like, trying to do all these different things to make it match. But, like, the check marks in the like quest whatever wasn't, it was like, nope, you still haven't given her a black chair. And I'm like, there's a black chair right here. I don't know what to do. So that was annoying. But when I finally figured it out, that was nice. And then it also doesn't have to be stuff that you have designed. So she'll be like, I want a bed that's blue. And I don't have the base bed, like, template. So I just put a blue bed on the wooden platform. And she was like, it's lovely. I was like, sweet. And from doing those, you get these, like, daisy points or whatever. And then using those points, you can buy new templates to be able to design your own stuff, which I think is cool. But yeah, we'll see. Also, the Star Path, they have a new Star Path called A Day at Disney. It's very underwhelming. I looked through all of the rewards and I was like, I really don't care about any of this, actually. So I might accidentally do some of the quests for that and get the rewards, and then use the rewards to reward points to, like, cash in for free Moonstone, but I'm not doing much of that. I've also never been to Disneyland, so getting, like, the teacup ride or whatever is just not, I don't care. I genuinely don't care. Next up, Song of the Prairie. This is the 0.8 update is out now. So again, this is an early access update. They've added new festivals. They've added the ability to do marriage. There's a bunch of bug fixes. Yep. That's about it. I'm not entirely sure of their timeline on when they're going to get to 1.0, but they are not there yet.
Yeah, I don't know that I've heard much about when they were planning to do a 1.0 release. I will say, like, you know, I talk a lot about these games needing to have, you know, a unique lens or a unique element and kind of feeling played out. This game does have, like, quite a nice look and feel to it. Like, so there's nothing, I don't know, that's super unique about the art style itself. But the character is like quite small relative to everything in the world, and I don't know, there's something about that I find quite visually appealing. And I like the little animations and stuff in this game look really good, so it's not something that I think I would play in early access, but this is one that has my attention for when they decide to go into 1.0.
Cannot relate, but glad that you're looking forward to it. Next up is Farming Simulator, which we've played. The farm production pack is out now for Farming Simulator 22. It is very vague about what this includes. Even on the page for it, when you go to it, it just says production equipment, storage options. It keeps showing like a forklift and a warehouse and stuff like that. But then when you go to their page, it's like new playthings, but it doesn't have like a list of here are the things that you get. Like but there's just a bunch of pictures of forklifts. So,
I mean, this is just one for the Farming Simulator sickos, right? All they do is they just push out new stuff, and the Farming Simulator sickos love it, and everyone else just this is not going to make the game any different than it was before, so if you weren't interested in Farming Simulator, you are still no longer interested in Farming Simulator. That is the takeaway from this.
I think the cool thing that I do enjoy about it is that it adds vending machines, market stalls, a supermarket, and a farm store, and it looks like you can have a bakery store on it. You can do a farm, your own little farm stand, instead of having to go up to the harvest market farm stand that's up pretty far away from your house. So you can make your own, but yeah, I'm not sure. Looks like it does appear as though Farming Simulator 22 is now forklift certified, though. So we'll see. If you are going to play it, let us know. Next game is Echoes of the Plum Grove. It says it is out now, and they are just starting to roll out some updates. So there are some upcoming features that they've acknowledged that they're going to do, including controller support, bug fixes, verifying for Steam Deck, family tree menu. I don't know what inoculate your family means.
It means exactly what that word means. So I don't know how much you've looked into Echoes of the Grove. Of the Plum Grove. So Kat in our Slack has been playing it and putting some thoughts of the game in there, and we were talking about it, and I got a little bit interested, and so I watched the trailer, and it's go on and do some farming, and then you're like, oh, this looks really cute, and then all of a sudden the trailer cuts to survive winter, survive diseases, grow old, and die. So it turns very grim. The premise of this game is it seems to be more generational and more about trying to survive in the long run. So inoculating from diseases are part of this game. That I don't fully understand how, or why, or when they appear, but they are absolutely part of this game. So inoculation is obviously just protecting your fam from disease. So that's what this game is. I'm not sure if I'm more or less interested following what Kat said. Yeah, but it's interesting to see a game with a bit of a dark tinge to it that's coming in. So so that's Echoes of the Plum Grove.
That is pretty wild. Oh, yeah. But Al did go on a rant about controller support, and he ends it with, oops, sorry, that was a long rant. You don't need to read this whole thing out verbatim. Challenge accepted. I'm going to read it out verbatim. Quote, so this comment is where it says includes controller support. So, quote, this is from Al. I feel like at this point, controller support should be in your 1.0 release, not after. I actually think it should be in your first early access release. It's an accessibility feature, and also the Steam Deck is now so commonly used that you should just have it before your first public version. Build it from the start, and it's much easier anyway. Trying to add in after you've already built the game is just so much work, but if you treat it like something you need right at the start, and every time you add a keyboard binding, you do it in a more generic way. there are libraries to make this easier, then it's so much easier. The same as internationalization. If you use an I8N library from the very start and the first time you put text on the screen, you use it rather than just the string itself, then it's so much easier to add language support. End quote. I agree, no notes.
I don't know. It's not something I think about or care about, so sure.
Of Life and Land has a new updated roadmap. They say, hey, settlers, in addition to some quality of life updates from the editor, for the editor, we would like to present our roadmap to you. So they have short-term, midterm, and long-term. Short-term is new fish species and a simulation overhaul. I'm trying to remember. I wonder if it's new fish species because they only had 4. I'm trying to remember if this is the game that only had 4. The simulation overhaul includes visible dirt simulation, visible water simulation, UI worker overview, better mod support, tutorial additions, more maps. Midterm roadmap includes new biome and animals and a new simulation layer. It adds desert plants, more maps, some quests, continues the main story, adds schools and education. And then long term is second scenario and unique homes and animals. So it has a complete revision to the tutorial. It includes deep water with new buildings, new animals, better Twitch integration, and more mod support. And yeah, just a cute little city builder simulation game.
Yeah.
That is out now and looks like...
I'm not big into city builders and simulation games, but I feel like there's been a string of these coming out that look interesting enough that I'm like getting tempted to try one out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean it's out. It's in early access right now, but so I'll probably wait for 1.0. But it does look really cute, and it's been on my radar, so I also might try one out. Coral Island. I can't remember. Jonnie, have you played Coral Island?
I have. Yep.
Okay. So the 1.1 beta is coming on May 20th. There are details in the devlog about the 1.1 updates, and there's a lot of stuff under the sea that is added. So they're adding underwater farming and ranching. I didn't really look at the farm crops because I don't really care, but the mermoos, basically a manatee, and they look real cute. Al also said spouse is becoming more of a person, ? And I'm not sure if what they're doing counts. They just have vague text bubbles. It showed like one of the marriage candidates being like, make sure you eat breakfast, like still in the house, still stuck in the house, doesn't count.
Correct.
They are not more of a person because they can now say a couple things to you. They've also added Merfolk Romance, and they said, that's right, Romance with the Merfolk will be available in the 1.1 update. Who's the first choice? Is it Semeru or Semeru? So the developers clearly have a preference. They have a specific character.
I don't think the developers have a preference. I think they've been asked for to romance one specific character over and over. He is
the gruff, the gruff guard leader guy. So yeah, I guess that's who everyone's been clamoring to marry. They've also added new characters. And I am in love. Did you see these characters, Jonnie?
Yes, I did.
I love Reese. I don't know how you say their name. R-Y-S-I. Could be Rysai, could be Reese. I'm going to say Reese. She is a tattoo artist. She looks amazing. She's all about art over choice, I think is what it said. So and it's kind of how I feel, where you go to an artist because you see the work that they've done and you basically just give them free choice, or at least like the barest of things, like I'm doing with my artist, like where I'm like, I just want it to be a fox. Other than that, it's up to you. I would rather support the artist and have the artist do what they want. Every now and then I get a tattoo idea, like the one that I've paid for the deposit for and everything already that I'm getting in 12 days there's a specific part to it, but still, I mean, the artist could change things or suggest different things, and whatever she says goes. So I love Reese, love that idea. I also love, they're like a stingray and they're all tatted up. It is real cool.
Yeah, it's a great character design. Everything about it is 10 out of 10.
Do you have any other comments about any of the other character design?
Just on Janu, who is the half shark. So one of their things is that they're single and not interested in dating, which just really nice to see that like not every single person is available to be romance. Like it's just I don't know. We talked about it in the marriage candidates episode, but like the idea of people having their own lives, and I think that's what I see most coming through with these characters, which I like.
Yeah. I think two things about Janu. So there's definitely the fact that he owns the tavern and whatever. And also the single and not interested in dating, quote, he's content with his life and prefers not to let a relationship complicate things. Love that. But the fact that he's a reverse mer person, he's a shark on top with human leg. You don't really see that very often. And that was pretty cool to see. Another thing that's coming in the 1.1 that I'm kind of interested in is that the library is now going to start populating with books as you play the game and gain ranks on the island. You get certain and you also get like certain perks when you read some of the books. I don't know what that means, but I am intrigued. Color me intrigued. And I will be checking that out. Yeah. And that's the news.
Well, before we move off the news, okay, I'm gonna go on a mini Coral Island rant because I know Al has talked about how he sees Coral Island as kind of like the successor to Stardew Valley in terms of what the standard is for a cottagecore game in 2024. I think that take is horrendous. Like, so I have now played enough Coral Island that I think that like. Coral Island does a lot of really good stuff in the first 10 to 15 hours, but the drop-off in terms of it being a complete game is so stark, and I think this 1.1 update is a great example of what was missing. And I don't think Al disagrees that, like, Coral Island is an incomplete game. They have this whole underwater region that is unfinished, that 1.1 takes some steps towards finishing, but I don't know that it makes it feel alive enough. I guess we will see. We've talked about how you marry these characters and they become lifeless husks. I can't recall if the mining quest is finished yet, or if that's part of the 1.1 update, or if that's on the roadmap, but the game is unfinished. So to say that it is a successor to Stardew Valley, which, when it came out, was a fully complete, fully realized game that has consistently added great content to it, including, like, a few weeks ago, Coral Island has a lot going for it, and it could have been the successor to Stardew Valley. But ultimately, there are so many big holes in this game that it just cannot be successor for the baseline standard. It can be the baseline for certain aspects. Like, I think it should be the standard for character design, not how those characters are then implemented in the world. It's, to me, it's a good game, but man, it is one of those games that's like, wow, we thought about the start of this game a lot and we put a ton of effort into it, and then we decided we need to get this game out so that we can make money, right? And not saying that that's like they made the wrong decision with that, right? These are companies that are producing games in order to keep feeding people in theory and need to make money. But this is not a fully realized game at this point, and so for it to be a successor in the new baseline, to me, is just ludicrous. Like, Stardew Valley is the king of that mountain, and Coral Island is not even a convincing pretender to that throne.
I will agree that it is not a complete game, but I still prefer Coral Island to Stardew Valley.
But this isn't even about preference, right? Like, it's just as the base. Like, you can prefer whichever game you want, but to say that Coral Island is like the standard now for a good cottagecore game, to me, is like us rolling over and saying, you don't need to finish your game. Just release some half-assed piece of crap where you think about the first 30 minutes a lot, and that's all you need to do. That's fine. That's a good game. Which,
oh my gosh,
it's not, right? Like, to me,
hot
it's
takes.
not.
Okay. I mean, yeah, fair.
I mean, I'm willing to, like, die on this hill. I think Coral Island's great. I feel like it's had a lot of love. It needs to be knocked down a peg because so it's a game where I would struggle to recommend it to someone else because it is not finished.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's really important, right? For me, when I'm putting my credibility on the line, and it's farming games, right? Like, it's not real credibility. It's just like some fake credibility. But if I'm advocating for something, there is a certain, level that I would want it to be at. And for me, the worst thing would be like, I recommended this game to someone and they get the way through and they're like, I was having a really good time. And then the game like ended, but but the game wasn't finished. And it's this whole it's part of the sickness that has overtaken video games of what it now means for a game to be released, where a game can be in 1.0 in an unfinished state and be out there in the market, and it's not there, right? And this is a sickness that is wider than cottagecore games. It's across all games, but we need to kind of get back to like the idea of I won't recommend this game until it's finished. And like this whole conversation, right? I've been looking at this like I don't even know what it is. This ocean thing where there's like some turtles dancing and stuff, and like it's super freaking cute, right? Like I want this game to be the thing that knocks Stardew off the top of the mountain. I really like Coral Island.
Mm-hmm.
I just wish it didn't have so many holes in it. And if this was a 0.8 update as they move towards their full release, I probably would be a lot more comfortable with it. And maybe the answer is it doesn't really matter, right? Like, it's all the same thing. I guess for me, it's just important that for as positively as we speak about the show on Coral Island, that people that come in and play it kind of get the, it's good for 10, 15 hours, right? It's good to play through till the end of summer. I don't think it's good to put if you want to put 4 years into a game, go put that time into Stardew Valley. It's a much more complete experience.
It's a good take. I mean, I kind of agree. Like, I kind of feel like if someone was to tell me, oh, I really like story and that's my biggest draw to games, I would probably not recommend Coral. I would not recommend Coral Island right now. But just like, I do enjoy the gameplay itself and yeah, but I also haven't like finished. I don't think I finished the mines yet. I did finish the merfolk area, and the fact that it just stopped was really weird. But yeah, that's the news. Woo!
Woo! I feel like I'm in like this like very ranty, like slightly negative mood about everything today. So
is that going to continue into Rusty's retirement?
Let's find out.
Rusty's retirement. Jonnie, where are you at in this game? How long have you played this game? If you were to give it a brief rating, what would you say?
I guess how long you've played it is a weird question because it's an idle game. So in terms of how far I am, I have unlocked I've unlocked a new farm type. So on the first farm, I've built all the buildings. I've unlocked maybe 70% of the crops. I've unlocked all of the land that you can build on. So I'm very much like end game on the first farm and just starting the second farm.
On the first what? On the what?
So there are multiple, like kind of like how Stardew has different starting farms. There are different farms in Rusty's retirement, and so I've just unlocked the second farm.
I didn't even know that was a thing. Wow. Okay. Well, and then your quick like elevator pitch of how good it is or bad.
So, like, if I would not be able to put a number on this game, because I like the game. It is pitched as an idle game. I do not think it's an idle game.
Mm.
And I want it to be an idle game, which kind of leaves me in this weird space where I like it, but I want it to be something different than what it is. And I think ultimately what the game is significantly worse than what I want it to be. And I guess to like maybe we just talk about it now because it's in sort of the framing of what the game is. To me, an idle game. This has the progression mechanics of an idle game, right? Where you unlock things over time. things progressively cost more and more, are all great. The pace at which this game moves, and I said this in the when I played the demo as well, is I felt the pace in the demo was too fast, and that applies to this game as well. Like, typically, I find in idle games, the cost of things scales up, and yes, your automation scales up, but generally it takes you longer and longer to unlock things. And I think that's generally true, but it feels longer in terms of like a span of minutes rather than a span of hours or days, which is really what I'm looking for from an idle game. And so this sort of requires too much attention, and I feel like it's something that I have to more actively play rather than something that I could play alongside doing work or doing something else, right? Like, I even had to shut it down for doing this podcast because it would just be a lot to do on the side, a lot of clicking, a lot of distraction. And, so to me it's pitched as an idle game, but I don't think it is one.
Okay. I guess my perspective, my gameplay, whatever, I've been playing it for about 2 hours. And I've unlocked 2 of the buildings, 10 of the crops, and have not expanded at all. And for me, like, I have been using it as an idle game. I did some stuff, like I was researching stuff for the podcast. I was looking up games that are on Game Pass, like while it was running in the background. And even now as we talk, like I can talk to you and then I glance over and I have, some bots that are automating things for me. So all I really have to do is plant things when I see empty spaces. And that's literally all I have to do. So to me, that is idle. Like it's not requiring me to pay constant attention to it. And even if I don't like pay attention to it right away, I mean, I don't feel like I'm missing out, like, I don't know. I just don't really, even if I were to come back and they're all just chilling, I'm just like, oh, well,
Yeah, I think that's the issue though, right? So for me, what happens, probably I think at sort of the next stage of the game beyond where you are, is you can leave it for a while, right? You can do exactly what you said. And what happens over time is eventually all of the crops that you've got planted will be, fully watered and harvested, and then there'll be nothing, like literally nothing is happening on your farm. Which to me is kind of one of the flaws, right? Because, to me in an idle game, part of the core is that you're always making some amount of progress. It might be slower because you haven't upgraded stuff appropriately or whatever it might be, but while you're idling, you're in theory making some amount of progress.
So have you not gotten Splunk's house yet then?
So this is the other way. So I had that sort of feeling, so I prioritized getting Splunk's house, and Splunk is the planting automation guy, and as soon as I got him, the game was kind of over, right? Because I could idle and I come back and I basically have the equivalent of like infinite money.
Yeah.
And so then it was no longer a blocker. Like, there were some blockers in terms of some other resources that you get in the late game that would just take a little bit of time to get. But again, when I say a little bit of time, it's like I could leave it for an hour and come back and kind of have enough stuff to progress. And like the reason I moved on to the next farm is I was like, yeah, I've got some more crops and stuff to do, but I've kind of unlocked everything on the farm. Like, there's no goals to work towards anymore. So it's just missing that. Like, I think the start is easily the strongest part because it has that really good idle game start where you unlock some good early automation. You're unlocking some new crops. You're kind of getting all of that stuff. But for me, the drop off in terms of hitting that good rhythm as an idle game, it's not there. And I've played, I've had it installed for 3 days, 4 days, something like that, and I've achieved everything. Is how it feels. And for me, an idle game is like, I want it to be like, where's that thing that's like, oh my god, how am I ever going to get 200 billion spare parts to unlock this building?
Yeah.
Like, where's that sort of end game? And it's just not there.
Yeah. So when you buy the new farm or like do the new farm or whatever, do you take anything with you?
No, so it's a entirely
It's a
fresh.
whole.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the new farms do have some amount of like the restrictions. So the farm I've unlocked it's got rivers and lakes running through it, which means you have to think about how you lay things out in a different way. I know one of the later farms is like I think plants, like if they don't get watered quickly enough, will die. So it's probably like a little bit of a tension from a automation perspective, which, it sounds fine and maybe slows down the progress somewhat. But again, that's like leaning towards a more active engagement with the game, not an idle game.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I'm for a little $5 game, I'm in love. Okay, well, let's talk about the mechanics a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think that so basically, like the game like throws you in right away. I didn't get a tutorial at all, which didn't bother me because it kind of makes you. There's not like too much. It's not too overwhelming to figure out right at the gate, so I was fine with that. But basically, it's a game that sits at the bottom of your screen, and it just kind of like the idle part is that you don't have to actively be doing stuff as you automate things. You basically put seeds in the ground, and then Rusty, who is the robot that you're helping, guiding. I'm not entirely sure. He plants the stuff for you, and then he waters it and harvests it and does everything with it. There's also a biofuel generator. So, and then you can prioritize on the toolbar. There's like a priority task list for him, and I think that list is a really good explanation of the game mechanics. So you can basically tell him do these things in this order, and there's 5 of them. There's move, which is to move things. So as you get more things, as you automate more things, you might want to restructure, organize things. So he moves it for you. I will say you can't move something within the same blocks, if that makes sense. So if you have something and you're trying to move it just a smidge to the right, it's not going to let you do that because that land is still quote unquote taken by that item. It's like restricted. So you have to, like, for example, I wanted to move something to a different area and I had to move it like really like multiple blocks over, and then I could move it to where I wanted it. But moving is very fast. He just picks it up and walks it over. So not that big of a deal. There's also building. So anytime you build anything, like any of the buildings or the farm plot or the automation robots or whatever, either Rusty or Haiku will be building that. Haiku is another robot that will do the same stuff as Rusty. We'll talk about him later. The biofuel was confusing for me at first, but it can be converted to the other currency, which I thought was coins, but I've since learned are spare parts. So you can convert it into that, but it's also a currency all its own. So everything that you buy will also will also require some biofuel.
Yeah, and on the biofuel, like I think it's not clear at the start of the game, but it's kind of the thing that you do with crops is turn them into biofuel. So it's a bit weird because you harvest the crops and you get coins for harvesting them, and then they go into your storage where they can then be turned into biofuel, which I have to say it took me a while to kind of understand that was the sort of loop.
Yeah. He takes 3 different crops, just random crops. It's very confusing. And then he can harvest and he can water, and those are self-explanatory. So with the planting, you start off with 3 crops: wheat, radish, and cabbage. So wheat is free to plant, does not cost coins, but you get 3 coins when it's harvested. A radish costs 1 coin and you get 2 coins when it's harvested, and a cabbage costs 2 coins and you get 3 coins when it's harvested. So you plant them, you hover over your plot, and then he waters them and harvests them. Each of them has like a certain amount of time. Like think of like Farmville. It's like 2.5 minutes is how long one of them takes, that kind of thing. And there are a bunch of other plant types, but you unlock those by harvesting a certain number of the previous plants. So like right now, for example, I'm pretty sure this is potato. It requires 100 carrots, 100 of that other, these weird 2 things, 100 celery, 90 lettuce, and 40 onions. And so I'm currently prioritizing planting celery and lettuce so that I can unlock the potato. It just kind of like guides you into what to plant. Seems fine. And you can buy more plots with coins or spare parts. I keep saying coins. It's spare parts.
I mean, they're essentially coins. They're the same thing.
Yeah. The automating is really simple. So with those spare parts, you can buy other robots that will help Rusty. There's a water bot, a harvest bot, and a biofuel bot. And they have like a radius around them in which they will harvest water or transfer plants to the biofuel plots. What are these called? Biofuel converters.
Yeah. I have to say that the radius for the bots is slightly frustrating. And we should probably
because it's a circle.
Because it's a circle, and we should mention that as an idle game, the intent behind Rusty's Retirement is that it sits on the side or the bottom of your screen, so you can play it while you're doing something else, and it's not going to take over the whole screen, which is a great concept, right? Love that concept, love the idea behind that. But these bots have circular, so you've got this rectangle that you're playing in, and everything else is a square except for the radius of these bots, which is a circle. And so I've ended up in a few situations where I've got a bot and I just won't hit one part of an area, and it's just very frustrating.
Well, then Rusty or the other guy can do that.
I mean, they can. It's just frustrating that it's not super. It's just not clean. It really triggers that part of my brain that wants everything to line up and be able to be, properly designed. It's the only thing that doesn't align.
Yeah. Yep. And they have a speed stat and a capacity stat for how many things they can do until they have to recharge. And then they also have a recharge cost. And that cost goes up the more you upgrade them.
And it should be noted that the upgrade cost is tied to that sort of bot as a whole, not if I upgrade speed on one of my water bots, the cost to upgrade speed goes up across all of my water bots.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So if I want to upgrade the speed of one of my water bots now, it's 490 biofuel and almost 2,000 spare parts.
Wow. I'm looking at all of my stuff. Yep, that costs more now. Wow, that sucks. I mean, it makes sense. Yep. And then there are multiple buildings that you can get. The first of which I guess you can do them in whatever order you want. But the first one that's the cheapest is Haiku's house. So Haiku is basically just another Rusty. He just does everything just like Rusty. He can also move and edit move in and build buildings. And he has his own priority task list thing. So you could have it so that Rusty has one priority order and Haiku has another. I have them having the exact same one. I don't know what you do.
So the one I ended up switching around, so I've changed a bit from the default. One has move as a priority and the other has build as a priority, which just means kind of as you're wanting to redecorate the farm and you want to move stuff around to be building stuff, it just means that you've kind of got that split where, to me, that felt like the most efficient. And then I think by default they have a biofuel quite high. That's now at the bottom of their priority list.
Yeah.
And water is the sort of... So after moving and building, watering is the highest priority from a farming perspective. That's generally the one that you get blocked on the most, I found.
Mm-hmm. That's fair. Yeah, I mean, the other ones are... like you have automated bots that can do it, so why do that? Why have it?
Exactly. And the biofuel takes time to produce, so like for most biofuel stations I just have one bot next to it whose job it is to go and load that up, so that generally works fine.
Yep. The next thing is Sonnet's shop. So Sonnet, can you tell what he is?
Is Sonnet the... Wait, which one's Sonnet? I need to...
He's got like weird
Sonnet
ears,
is like the
giant
I think Sonnet is like a mouse, maybe.
He's got giant ears. One of his ears is like way bigger than the others, and I'm like, what is going on here? So his house is used for selling decorations. So he sells plants that you can buy to decorate your place. There's rocks. There's some metal pieces that you can put on your property. He also sells Splunk's signs. So these are the signs that you would put, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong because you've already done this, on whatever plot you want to be, like you basically would put the wheat one where you want a wheat.
Yeah.
Does it do the whole plot, or is it each individual?
So it does the whole square. So if you've got a 4x4, which I think is the biggest size, it will apply to the whole 4x4. The other thing that I find it useful for is when you're at the stage where you're wanting to like unlock the next plant, and you just want like, I'm going to try and convert this field to be, from wheat to being carrots or whatever. I use the signs a lot as an indicator for myself as well. Of what I should be planting in each of the zones, just to kind of keep me on track. Because with an idle game, right, sometimes you step away and you're like, wait, what was I trying to do next? So it's useful from...
I have no memory of this place. Yeah.
It's just useful for helping with that as well, I find.
I've not unlocked that yet. The next is Pinion's house. So he helps you gather statistics. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, so all it is it's just a tab that shows what you currently have planted on your farm. It shows how much biofuel and spare parts you've earned, how much biofuel you're producing, and how much you're consuming. So you can kind of see the overall efficiency of your farm, and just, like, so at the moment I can see that I've got like 41 bots deployed on my farm. I have 63 butterflies, all of those sorts of things, which is kind of handy to see. So it's just a really useful thing to see, particularly because your farm gets to the point where you need to scroll and you can be like, wait, how much am I growing this thing that I need? Oh, yes, I am. Okay, that's good. I don't necessarily know where. I just know that it's happening somewhere. Yeah.
For sure. Forbic's house, he collects biofuel from bulb hives.
Yeah,
Can you explain
the description is weird, and I don't know that I fully understand how it works, but there are... So on his tab, you unlock some berry bushes. The berry bushes unlock in the same way that plants do, where, your first bush is a blueberry bush, and I think you need to collect 10 blueberries to unlock the raspberry plant. Each of the bushes just takes up a single square. And then there's some bee buildings. So there's the bulb hive is so bulblets are, I think, what they are calling bees, even though they're called bee buildings. Okay. It's very confusing. But the bulblets, or the bees, collect nectar from the bushes and from flowers to produce biofuel. Then you have a butterfly cage that spawns butterflies in the area. I think butterflies help the plants produce faster. And then there's a robot that picks the berries and carries them to storage units. So, it's kind of just like a different version of growing crops. I will admit, I've kind of just placed the buildings and it seems to be producing biofuel. I don't know that I necessarily understand fully how it works.
Okay, in the help section it has some of the information from it, but I just was never sure what was going on. So what is a bulblet? Bulblets are little light bulbs with wings. They provide light for plants to photosynthesize. And then bulblets will deposit nectar into a bulb hive. Once a bulb hive has enough nectar, it will be converted into biofuel. Biofuel accumulates in the hive, so don't worry if you don't collect it immediately, which is great. And you collect it by letting Forbic go get it. Takes a crop about 2 minutes to dry out. If it goes unharvested for 4 minutes, it will also dry out. This mechanic only applies to desert farms. Okay. So that is Forbic's house. Echo's workshop. So he updates spots to make them more efficient. You want to talk about that?
That's kind of just what we talked about before, right? So the cost increases as you do more. You can just increase their carrying capacity or their speed. One minor frustration is you can't stack multiple upgrades on a bot, but you can like set up a big queue of stuff for him to go around and do an upgrade. But yeah, it's just I don't know, make the bots do more sort of thing. Yeah.
Cool. Slate's barn. He will dig for fossils, and there's also animals.
Yeah. So there's cattle and swine. Animals. So the fossils are required with biofuel to produce animals. So that's kind of like the currency for getting animals. And they then eat crops and they produce fertilizer. So fertilized crops grow 25% faster, and the fertilizer lasts for an hour. So it's really just a way to make your farm kind of like more efficient. What I end up doing, so I'm playing in vertical mode, just to be clear. And like I started with like I had my farm growing down to the south, and I was building all my buildings up to the north. And the barn was the last building that I built. And so now I've got a farm at the north end that is that I've started up that's like got fertilizer and some of those sorts of things, and that's often where I'm planting like the new crops that I'm unlocking, so I can get a decent stack of them pretty quick to try and unlock more stuff. But again, right, it's just kind of like making production faster. Like it's kind of cool to have cows and pigs wandering around the farm. And there's a few like new buildings. There's some robots that help do all of the stuff around that, but nothing. Not too much else to it.
Okay. And then Splunk's house is the last one. So yeah, he will plant seeds on a crop patch that is entirely empty. If there's no crop sign posted, they will pick a random seed from the last 8 crops that you have unlocked. So very straightforward. So those are the buildings, and that's pretty much the game. It just ramps up. There are a few accessibility things, including focus mode, which doubles the production time, so it makes things a lot slower. And that is supposed to get over what you were saying about how you get distracted because you have stuff that you have to do. But it sounds like you're saying that it's not very effective at that.
So even with focus mode on, I don't think it would have changed that much in terms of my overall experience or feeling about the game. Like it would have slowed down the rate at which I unlock stuff, but not meaningfully, because I feel like the way you ramp your production in this game outstrips the rate at which costs go up. Like doubling the production time, I do not think it would have doubled the amount of time to get to where I've got to, right? Because I'm sitting pretty much at the end game. At the moment I have almost 50,000 biofuel and 90,000 spare parts, right? So like I can do whatever I want pretty easily. And there was that definite point where kind of my growth got pretty exponential, very much linked to when I unlocked Splunk. And yes, it would have slowed down somewhat, but not in any way that I think would have felt that meaningful. To me, it's like yes, that would go. Focus mode goes some way to alleviating my concerns. And I think I'll when I really dig into, or once I jump back to the main farm, the new farm that I started, I might do that one on focus mode to see if it does change my opinion at all. But I'm not that long into the game, and I feel like I'm now just unlocking stuff because I want to unlock all of the stuff, not because there is a goal to work towards.
Is there are there achievements? A lot of achievements on Steam that? Have you looked at those at
so there are achievements on Steam. Most of them are just related to harvest however many crops, get 1 million spare parts, get X amount of biofuel, those sorts of things. There's nothing even from an achievements, because that was one of the things I was wondering about. Maybe there's some achievements that will be goals to work towards, but I feel like a lot of them I could pretty much achieve now if I wanted to. There's one for having, I think, 10 cows or something on your farm, and I could just literally do that if I felt the need, right? I could just sit here and say, let's add more cows. Actually, maybe I can't do the cows one yet. I don't know. I might not have enough fossils to do that. So maybe, yeah. So there's some small things to work towards, but they're not huge in the scheme of things. And it's not like having 10 cows is going to unlock anything. It's just doing it to get the achievements, which is fine, right?
Oh yeah, I'm a big achievement collector. I also liked the pixel font. Did you turn that on?
Yes. Yeah, I like the pixel font.
Yeah. Basically, it comes with a font immediately that's kind of like a rustic font. It matches the vibe of the game, but it is kind of unreadable at times. So I turned on pixel font. It just gives you a sans serif nice font that's super easy to understand. It's a good accessibility thing. And then I just also at one point zoomed all the way out, and it's huge. It can get pretty heckin' big. And I was really surprised by how big the you can have it be.
Yeah, and I think that was one of the moments for me that kind of made me feel that sort of slight tinge of disappointment, is because I think unlocking the first area or two was it felt like quite a big achievement, right? Because you said you haven't unlocked any of the other areas, right? And I think getting the first 6,000 spare parts to unlock the first area, for me that was a huge thing. And then the second one was pretty big as well. And then I think I unlocked maybe the rest of them all at once. Because I had just enough spare parts to go ahead and do that like that. And I think that was the point where it's this thing that felt like it should have been exponential. And it is, an increase in cost. I think the end regions cost 42,000 spare parts each to unlock. But yeah, I just grew faster than the game, than the cost of things did, which is just unfortunate.
Yeah. That makes sense. I'm still really liking it. Listeners, if you've played it at all, let us know in the Slack. And let us know if are you more of a decorator or are you more of a production person? Because I am all about seizing the means of production in this game.
I feel like you can do both though, right? I really like the way my farm is laid out. I can put decorations around. There's that nod to efficiency. If you want to, I had a look around just to see if anyone had done any optimization stuff, and there is definitely optimal farm layouts where they've got you have this patch with this bot next to it and a well and everything. So there's definitely some optimal farm layout stuff out there if you're interested. Yeah. Well, I really like it. I'm gonna continue to play it. So. Oh, and do you know how many extra farms there are? So I think there are 5 farms in total. I can probably check how many there are. If I go name menu. So you've got the Flower Swamp Farm, which is the one I just unlocked, where you build in between flowing ponds and rivers. What I haven't worked out with that one yet is how Rusty works. Like, can Rusty cross streams and rivers or not? That one's unclear to me. There's a desert, so crops dry out if left unattended. A blossom forest where you're building in between blossoming cherry trees. And a desert oasis, a dry landscape with pools of water. So, yeah. I'm not sure how the two desert ones necessarily differ from each other. I'm wondering if the sandy desert doesn't have any sort of placement restrictions, whereas the desert oasis might have some placement restrictions on it. And, like, that's the thing, right? Like, I've been negative on the idle nature of this game, but I'm still enjoying it, and I will still continue to play it. It's just not scratching the itch that I hope it was going to scratch for me.
Yeah. Well, maybe, I mean, we'll see if there's, like, updates to the game or something, but, yeah. Pretty good game. Pretty cute little game. So that is the end of our podcast. We'll wrap up here by talking about some just basic housekeeping stuff, where to find us. So you can find Al on mastodon.scott and on Twitter at the ScottBot. You can find me on Twitter at Cody Mathis, or mostly on Instagram at HikingBeagle, BE-Eagle. I use that more than anything. And they can find you on the Slack, right?
Yeah, come join the Slack. Find me there.
Because Jonnie is unplugged. You can find the podcast on Tumblr and Twitter at THSPod. You can provide feedback and get all of the links, including the show notes and the transcripts, at harvestseason.club. And that is also, there's a link to the Patreon there, but it's also patreon.com/THSpod if you want to join. If you join the Patreon, you get access to our Slack. And you can hear Kat talk about Echoes of Plum Grove, and you can hear us talk about different things. I was talking about showing a picture about why bees are fish the other day. I also still need to post a picture of my bearded dragon in there. She is a cute.
And we need an update on Foxcraft.
I do need to give an update picture on Foxcraft. I have my Minecraft idling right now while I'm doing this, so I'll just go take that picture here when we get off and put it up on the Slack. So, because she's almost complete on the exterior, but then my friend is really building up the top of it, the sanctuary part of it. So there's like a whole bunch of trees on the head, and then he's built like a mountain down the side. It's real cool. So I'll post all those pictures. Thanks, Jonnie, for joining me.
Thank you, Cody. I know it was quite negative on the game, but it was a lot of fun, and it was a lot of fun recording this episode.
Yeah. And listeners, maybe listen to this space to hear more about maybe another interesting thing that Jonnie and I might be doing. Who knows?
Who knows?
Maybe we'll have some of it on the greenhouse, and maybe we might have a whole new thing.
And speaking of greenhouse, I think 2 have gone up in the last week. There was one of Kev and I talking about cassette beasts, which, if you want to talk about games that I love cassette beasts. So we talked a lot about that. And at the time of recording, another greenhouse went up with Kev and Al talking about the Princess Peach thing. I don't remember the name of that game.
And if yeah, I don't know either. And if you're listening to this, tune in this weekend for another greenhouse where Al and I talk about how we feel about this year's Eurovision contestant.
Because that's next week, isn't it?
It is next week.
I have not listened to any of the
It is in a
Eurovision
week.
stuff. I think I might just go in cold and see what I like.
Oh, okay. That sure is a choice. So yeah, that's what's upcoming, and some interesting things, cool things to look forward to. And yeah, until next time, have a good harvest.
The Harvest Season is created by Al McKinley, with support from our patrons, including our pro farmers, Kevin, Stuart, and Elisa. Our art is done by Micah the Brave, and our music is done by Nick Burgess. Feel free to visit our website, harvestseason.club, for show notes and links to things we discussed in this episode.
Wow, you did not.
Look, I have no sense of rhythm. So, like, whether it's the clap or have a good harvest, it's just never going to be alike. Never, ever, ever.
It's fine.
Wow. You say it's fine in the way where you're just like, it's definitely not fine, but I just have to accept this. Which is accurate. You do have to accept it.